All right, wee hours of the morning on September 2nd, and I thought I'd give you just a little update. I've been notching out the second set of Bilge stringer notches here, and you can see I got most of it done. I got a few more to do back here. I'm getting into a little more heavy-duty chopping out when I got these to go through again, these floors, but yeah, shortly here we're going to be out of those again. Yeah, maybe not. Anyway, I've been doing that while I've been putting some coats of paint on my engine stringers, or whatever you want to call them here. So these are done. I could have put them in today. I thought about it, but I thought I'd let the paint firm up just a little bit more before I put them in. So I've got those ready to go. So very shortly here, we're going to be getting the engine put in place. So, you know, I just got it hanging there. These are all the lag bolts for the engine beds. And I put a little, I don't know what you call it, a little platform here, walkway in again, that I had in the engine room earlier, so I could work in here just a little bit. And what I did was, I put a tank level sensor, call it a sensor, mechanical, and it just reads, you know, 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, all the way up to full. And there's a little, if you can see it in there, a little red disc that comes up when the tank is full. And they sell them by the inch, so you can buy them in inches, and it drops in, and then it's kind of an armor core. It's kind of like a, you know, a float sensor in anything, but rather than having an actual sending unit that reads, you know, resistance or whatever it reads, I guess it is resistance usually on those. This just gives you a little indicator here on the top, which is perfectly adequate for what we're doing here. We're going to pump fuel out of the tanks, you know, either one of the wing tanks, whichever tank we choose to use. We'll pump that into our day tank, and then everything happens from the day tank. One problem I ran into here, and I don't know if I can get in a position where you can see this any better, but if you look, you can kind of see this tank is sitting down at the forward end, and I knew that was gonna, it looks worse because the, you know, the planking is on there, and it planking doesn't necessarily run perfectly parallel to the water line, but it was about 4 inches low on the forward end of these tanks. And I put, you know, bungs on the bottom of these tanks. You can see them, you know, there, and then one on the other end. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw fuel out of those to pump into the day tank. You know, it would be better to draw fuel from here because I'm going to have my fuel pumps and whatnot up on this wall here. So it would be better, and a shorter run, to draw the fuel out of there. But that'll give me 4 inches of unusable fuel, which is probably okay because since these tanks are tapered, you know, if you can see how they're tapered down there to a point, there isn't going to be a whole lot of fuel in that bottom 4 inches. So I think what I'll probably do is pull the fuel from there, and then this one down here, I'll be able to pull that one once in a while and drain any gunk out of the bottom of the tank if I should need to. But I think I'm going to run a fuel polisher so I can actually circulate the fuel through a pump here and then back into the tank again. That way I can, you know, get any water or, you know, sediment that may be getting stirred up filtered out before it even gets pumped up to the day tank. Now, one problem I am going to have, though, is I I put the vent fitting there, which is the one back here. That's a 3/4 inch pipe fitting there. That's supposed to be the vent, and that's on the wrong end for the vent. The fuel fill is back there. That's fine. But I'm going to have to, I think, relocate a vent back up in this corner. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to get these tanks full. I don't know how important that is, but 4 inches of fuel at this end, well, that'd be on an angle, so that would be half of 4 inches, 2 inches of fuel over this area. That's going to be 40, 50 gallons, whatever, probably. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to drill a hole up there and put another pipe fitting in there for a vent. Now, I've got these little 3/8 inch pipe fittings here. These both go all the way down to the bottom of the tank, and the reason, this one was for a pickup for the engine and the other is for a return line. But if I use a day tank, then of course I don't need these, but I wanted these better as a better safe than sorry type of deal, so I wanted these in place regardless, even if I don't use them, and I really don't intend to use them. But if we needed to, we could draw directly off here into the engine, and I'll probably keep enough fittings and hose and stuff so that if something should happen, we could hook these up. Otherwise, they're just normally going to be capped. But I was kind of happy to find this here, these guys here, and these came from McMaster Car, and they weren't that expensive. They were only, I don't know, 50 some bucks a piece. So yeah, that was a pretty good deal. I was a little worried that I was going to be able to get these in there because they bend in the middle. They have a hinge point in the middle. Normally it's straight down, then it'll go up because I've got baffles in here, and there's also a baffle in the middle. But fortunately, it was like 26 inches or 24 inches or something like that from the pivot point. Fortunately, there's enough room in the tank between the center baffle that I could put the sensor in like this so it would move up, and there's enough room for it to move up. Hopefully. Yeah, we'll find out, I guess, if it sticks when I go to fill it. But if not, I could maybe put it off on an angle, in one direction or the other, and it wouldn't quite go all the way to the bottom. But yeah, you don't really need it to go all the way to the bottom because there isn't much fuel down there anyway. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to know, I guess, until I actually fill the tank. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm a little concerned about that now that I think about it a little more. Anyway, so I need to, on both of these tanks, I'm going to need to put a vent on the high end of the tanks, and then I'll have to just cap the ones down there. This tank here also needs another bung down here, I suppose. Do I really need that bung down there? You could drain the tank within, 4 inches or 5 inches, whatever, from this forward one. So yeah, I probably wouldn't need it down there. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put another one there because I'd like to be, if the boat sits for, some months or whatever without being run, you're probably going to want to drain from the bottom of the tank if there's any water condensation is collected in there. I mean, like I said, it'll get taken out anyway with the filtration process, but it would just be kind of nice to be able to get down there and drain it at the lowest point. I did not put access ports in here. I really debated that. I know a lot of people, will cry foul because there's no access plates in here. But I've got a little endoscope, is that what you call it? Something like that. Little camera on a cable that I can go in and inspect the inside of the tank with. And I've got a 2-inch bung here that you can get down in there and look, and then there's other places you can get in there too if you really need to. But yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. I just don't like the idea of putting access plates on the sides of tanks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know they do it and it works, but it scares me. So I didn't put access ports in there. Now, I probably could have put them on the top, at least back here. There's a little more room back here than there is up there. But I don't know, you wouldn't really be able to do a whole lot. I mean, and these tanks are so big, unless you make the access port big enough to crawl into, you're not really going to gain a whole lot by having them there, you know. And then if you put access ports in here on the side, well, then you got a baffle. You're not going to be able to see the other half of the tank back, you know, towards the hull. So, and again here too, if you put access ports in here, you'd need an access port, you know. Well, you could put them right in the middle of the tank, and you know, put a 12-inch access port to give you 6 inches on one side of the tank and 6 inches on the other side of the tank, so you can see in there. But since I've got an endoscope anyway, I can see in there and see what's going on. And if I put a fuel polishing system in, which I'm going to, that should take care of most any issues. And then of course, once the fuel can get polished in the tanks just sitting here, and then of course when the fuel is pumped up to the day tank, it gets filtered and polished again. And then, of course, it gets filtered again after it comes out of the day tank. So, yeah, I can't really imagine that this is going to give me any problems. I just, yeah, I think it's going to be fine. But I do need to, like I said, put another bung in there and port in there, and then one for vents up on either end here, which is unfortunate, but yeah, that's the way it goes. So I'm going to have to drag my TIG welder in here again and see if I can get it up here. Get the TIG welder, no problem. It's the gas bottle that's might be the issue. I don't know how much hose I have on that, if I can reach up here or not. We'll find out, I guess. But another job to do. But anyway, tomorrow, it's been really hot again, so I haven't been getting just a whole lot done. But tomorrow I will get these engine beds in, get those bedded and bolted back into place. And then I'll probably just set the engine down again, and temporarily anyway. And then I can start getting the aqua drive in there. Once the aqua drive is in, then I'll be able to get my exact positioning for where the engine forward and back has to sit. It was pretty close the way I had it, but you know, that aqua drive, they say, is fairly touchy on getting it'll move in and out a little bit. But you want to have it at its proper distance apart when you set it up. That way it has that movement both in and out. So anyway, those are the next jobs to go after, and I hope this thing works. I was kind of pleased at myself for finding that. The other option would have been, well, and you know, my fill's back there, and it's going to go straight up to the outside deck there. So you could drop a sounding stick down in there to get fuel depth too. Now it is on the shallow side, so you wouldn't be able to get it shallow side of the tank. So you wouldn't be able to get that sounding stick all the way down to here, but you'd be able to get it most of the way. The other option would have been to put sight tubes on here, which I kind of like sight tubes. I know there's people that absolutely don't like sight tubes. Of course, you have a valve on each end, the sight tube, so you close those when you're not actually reading the fuel level. But yeah, I don't know why some people are so worried about them. I think you're gonna drain all your fuel out, I guess. But if you just close the valves, it's But anyway, the sight tubes would have been something else, kind of in the way, something else sticking out here on the side, and added a little more complexity to it, and a couple more things, potentially to go wrong. Valves and all those fittings and whatnot. And the tubes themselves, I think anymore they use a plastic, but yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's all I've been up to the last few days. So, I'll update you again when I get the engine and the aqua drive going.